Good morning. Good morning, Bones. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Today, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where we left off talking about the surface of the Earth. Okay, so in our last video, we learned that the outside of the Earth is made up of the Earth's crust. Okay, now what you need to know about the Earth's crust is the Earth's crust hasn't always looked the way it does today. Okay, the Earth's crust changes. So what we're going to do is today we're going to talk about how the Earth gets a haircut. Okay. Um, that's the way I like to explain it anyway. So we have these external forces. Okay, now an external force is just a force of any kind that wears away at the Earth's surface. Okay, we call this weathering. So when the wind blows, rocks could be weathered. When water cuts into rocks, it could be weathered. When ice freezes on top of rocks and breaks the rocks, it's said to be weathered. So weathering is the way that the Earth's landscapes and structures and mountains, okay, start to break apart and fall down. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the external ways, forces from the outside of the Earth. How does that change what the outside of the Earth looks like? That's going to be our focus. Okay. Um, this is in Utah. This is the Utah Arches, and this is in Colorado Springs. They're called the Kissing Camels in Red Rock. So you can see them right there. Yep. And then this is the Utah Arches. Okay, and we'll talk all about this stuff. Okay, so what exactly is weathering? Weathering, keep it simple. It's the breaking of big rocks into small rocks, okay, by weathering factors. All right. Weathering is the breaking of larger rocks into smaller rocks, mainly by rain, ice, atmospheric gases, okay, different things like that. So what we can take a look here is um, we can see how this ice is built up on the rocks. Okay, and so what's going to happen is that ice is going to get into the cracks of the rocks. So if it were to rain, if it were to rain in here into this rock, and the ice freezes, we all know that ice expands when it freezes. So when that ice expands when it freezes, it will actually break that large rock, even though it's very strong, into smaller pieces of rock that we call sediments. All right. We could also have a plant, like a tree, that roots itself in a crack of a larger rock, and as it grows, it will slowly but surely start to break that rock apart. Pretty cool. All right. Um, we could also have rock slides. Okay, you have to remember, rocks fall down. We have gravity, so all these rocks are going to fall and fall and fall and fall. So any kind of rain, ice, or atmospheric gas that breaks big rocks into small rocks. That's what weathering is. Breaking big rocks into small rocks, okay, is considered weathering. All right. Now, soil is a little different than a rock. Soil has organic matter in it. So just keep in mind that soil that you would plant flowers and stuff like that in your garden isn't the same thing as just when a rock breaks and falls apart, more like a beach sand. Now, after the rock breaks, it moves. All right. This is what's known as erosion. Erosion is the process by which the broken out rocks, the broken pieces of sediment, are carried away. Whether the wind is blowing, whether it falls in the water and it goes down a stream, okay, whether it's just gravity causing rocks to fall down. All right. The driving force of erosion is gravity. Okay. Gravity is going to cause your water to flow downhill. And all of these broken pieces of rock are eventually going to make their way to the oceans. So as these rocks break on top of mountains, gravity causes them to fall down. Okay. Wind blows them around. Water has them travel downstream. And eventually, even the rocks that are weathered from the highest mountains make their way to the ocean floor, and that helps build up the ocean floor more and more as mountains are slowly taken away. Okay, here we live in New York on Long Island. We see beach erosion happens all the time. So the waves crashing into the rock would be and breaking the rock would be considered the weathering part of the rock. Then the water washing away those broken pieces of rock, that would be considered the erosional part of the process. So weathering and erosion go together like peanut butter and jelly. You cannot have one without the other. Weathering is the breaking of the rock. Erosion is the moving away of that rock by water, wind, gravity, or any kind of force that ends up moving the broken pieces of sediment around. Okay, you can see this cool meandering river here. All right, so what's going to happen is the rocks are going to break up here. They're going to fall down into this river, and the water is going to wash them downstream. Here's another example here of a weathered rock. Okay, you can see this is a very slow-moving stream, slow-moving river, but you can see how it's cutting into this mountainside surface. And it's kind of like just a butter knife on warm butter. It's just going to scrape, 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 scrape over millions of years. It's going to break, 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 break over millions of years, and then erosion is going to sweep it down the stream. So eventually this rock wall or the side of a mountain will collapse due to weathering and erosion, which are forces on the outside of the Earth that causes the Earth's crust to change.